Okay.
You've released a poll today. It's a fairly large sample, 1,126 respondents. And Lorne, you've found that Doug Ford and the PC party enjoys the support today of 46% of voters.
Yeah, so we've been polling all during the, I'll say, campaign, even though the risk not been dropped. And we have the Tories at a pretty high position. They're at 46%. We actually have the New Democrats in second, excuse me, and we have the Liberals actually in third place in this poll. So a little bit of catch up that the Liberals are going to have to do.
I'd say, yeah, quite a bit. So you've got the NDP at 27% support and the Liberals at 21% support. And when you do this then and you're polling across the province, different age groups, different income levels, so that it's a fair representation of the public.
Random sample, yeah.
Your release goes on to put out some seat projections as to how these percentages of popular vote would translate into actual seats. And I think some people are surprised by it.
So I think people are surprised that we have the Liberals with only 7 seats in the new House. We have a seat projection model where we can project the seats that each party is likely to get. I think in the last Ontario election we were out by 1 seat, something like that, in terms of the prediction. So if the polling data is accurate, then the seat projection information is going to be accurate. And the reason the Liberals are at just get the 7 seats is what we call how efficient is the vote. It really depends on how the vote, especially when you have 3 parties. You have a 3-party situation, then it's a little bit hard just looking at the numbers to know which party is going to get. The Democrat vote is concentrated in a number of seats, so that's why they get more seats than the Liberals. The Liberals vote is more spread out, but not enough to win many seats in each of those ridings.
So we have a number of ridings then where the Liberals are going to finish second but not win. And so their support is wide but not deep. Is that fair?
Exactly right.
Okay, so just for the benefit of our viewers, and I should say Lorne has done work for some of our clients before, and we have a good working relationship. For people that are new to polling, they look at NDP support at 27% and Liberal support at 21%, which is a 6-point spread, not insignificant. But then they might have trouble understanding how does the 27% translate to 23 seats and the 21 only 7. Now you touched on it earlier, but maybe tell us a little bit more about the geographic, the regional breaks of what you found.
So when you look at a map of Ontario, typically what you find is just looking at the whole geography of the province. If you looked at a map, it would be a sea of blue, and that would be the Tory support in the rural areas. Then you'd have a bunch of orange donuts, red donuts. That's a Liberal support in the urban areas, so Toronto, Ottawa, and so forth. And then in the center of the donut is the orange NDP, the downtown areas. And that's why the NDP, their vote is concentrated, but they'll get those seats because they have a good lead in those seats. So these are like the Toronto Danforth type ridings that the NDP typically win all the time. They're going to retain those seats.
Your results also indicate that in places like southwestern Ontario, there is considerable PC support, but I think, is it fair to say in this election we'll see more battlegrounds between the PCs and the NDP? Like there's parts of Ontario where the Liberals might not be competitive. I'm thinking of, say, the Niagara region or even the KW area, where we might even have NDP incumbents that are kind of trying to fend off this PC surge. So are we likely to see those kind of battles?
I think yes, especially in southwestern Ontario. People in the rural areas are pretty still upset about the wind turbines. This is a long, old policy now, but the turbines are still there. It makes it difficult for the Liberals to gain traction. So with the Liberals sort of on the downswing right now, it's an opportunity for the NDP to try and win some of those seats. But the Tories will be a strong opposition in those seats.
Okay, so in addition to party support, your poll also asked respondents about leaders. Do you approve, do you disapprove? And reading your findings here, it looks like Premier Wynn's approval numbers about 18% and disapproval at 73%, which is quite high. Interestingly, Doug Ford's approval is 37%, but also 40% who say they disapprove of him, and he hasn't put out a platform yet. And Andrea Horvath seems to do a little bit better, 37% approval and disapproval of 32%. So Is it safe to say that none of the three leaders have really caught the imagination of the public? It caught fire and are...
No, it's a sad commentary on Ontario politics. The three parties have leaders that no one is really thrilled about. So it is a bit disappointing, I think, that everyone has numbers. But just going back to the issue of Doug Ford's numbers, so he's been leader of the opposition for, I'll say, a few weeks, a month, whatever. But he has a high disapproval rating, that 40% disapproval that he has. And it's partly due to the fact that he's a polarizing figure. He's very well known in, of course, the 416, because he was a councillor, his brother was mayor and so forth. So he brings a lot of baggage with him to whatever position he's in this case, as leader of the opposition.
So as you know, all of the parties do their own polling, and presumably they have similar findings that that Forum has produced today. Is that an opportunity? Is that an opening for the Liberals and the NDP? I mean, we saw a couple of days ago the Premier making a direct comparison between Doug Ford and Donald Trump. Are they trying to capitalize on maybe his disapproval rating being a little higher than it might otherwise be?
Well, the Liberals, let's just look at the Liberal strategy. They had a great budget, and it was extremely popular, but there's no lift in their numbers. So when you did an individual analysis of each of the items, the free daycare and everything else, the free drugs for seniors and all that good stuff, all that was extremely popular. Some of those items were in the 70% range in terms of approval. Very, very popular budget, but no lift really, or not much lift for the Liberals because of the barrier of the Premier's low approval ratings. So the Liberals have tried to come up with a great platform, and I'll say they have come up with a great platform in terms of being popular with the public, but no impact on their numbers. So I think now they've done, I think, all they can on the policy side. They've got to look at either trying to improve the Premier's approval ratings, which after 4 years is a little hard to do because of that history, or defining Doug Ford and trying to get his approval numbers down.
Fair enough. And if you're the NDP, if you're Andrea Horwath, then you obviously are going to attack the government because that's what opposition parties do.
Yeah.
But I think the NDP also has to anticipate some of those battles in local ridings where the contest is really between them and the PC. So should we expect Andrea Horwath to kind of come out firing at both? When she launched her platform, she said, Kathleen wins, a done deal. Now it's just a question of who the next premier is going to be. Do you want Ford or do you want me? What do you think about that?
Well, just looking at this strategically, about 40% of the province supports the Tories. That's the center-right candidate. And about 60% support the center-left, two parties. They are splitting that vote, just like the way, Rob Ford was able to split the left vote when he was elected mayor. So strategically, the progressives or the left or whatever have to really think about if they split the vote, is that going to result in Doug Ford becoming premier, which I think is like the worst thing that could happen to people on the left. So they have to think, I think, of which party is best able to really take on Doug Ford and not split the vote. We call it strategic voting. I'm not a big fan of it, generally speaking, but we may see it this time. To just address the issue that you've raised.
Well, we've seen it in the past, certainly, where the Liberals looked for the progressive voters to kind of coalesce around them as being the party that is best equipped, best positioned, I guess, to prevent a right-of-center government from forming. But given these these low approval and popularity numbers, I'm not sure that that's going to work this time, but I certainly believe that they'll try.